Please rise for invocation by Father Carl Bergen of Epiphany Catholic Church.
Ever-loving God, we ask your blessing as we gather together the members of the City of Port Orange Council. Help them to work for justice, the good of all people, and to assist their constituents in every way possible. Bless these council members and send your Holy Spirit to enlighten their minds, guide their actions, and to bring fulfillment to their work for our city. May they peacefully work together in the demonstration of God's command to love one another and to set the flame of example for all those whom they serve. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm on your face. The rain fall softly on your fields until we meet again. May God hold you in the palm of his hand. May God be with you and bless you. May you see your children's children. May you be poor in misfortune, rich in blessing. May you know nothing but happiness from this day forward. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the warm rays of the sun fall upon your home. And may you have the hand of a friend always near. May green be the grass you walk on. May blue be the skies above you. May pure be the joy that surrounds you. May true be the hearts that love you. And may Almighty God bless you in anima nahar, agus in vic, agus in spirit nave.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Father. Say it to Father Matt for me. I guess I got to turn that on, don't I? Okay. Will the clerk call the roll?
Councilmember Foley,
Here.
Councilmember Bastian,
Here.
Vice Mayor Stiltner,
Here.
Mayor Burnett.
Here. We are all present. We have a quorum, and we now are to item 4, Lung Cancer Awareness Month. Wayne, is the lighting different in here for some reason?
That's why now we have an issue with one light.
I suppose if that's the worst thing we got to deal with tonight, we'll be doing okay. Whereas lung cancer is the leading cause of death among men and women in the United States, accounting for more deaths than colon cancer, breast cancer, and prostate cancer combined. And whereas funding the lung cancer research trails far behind the funding and research of many other cancers, and additional research is needed in early diagnosis, screening, and treatment for lung cancer, and whereas lung cancer in individuals who never smoked is the 7th leading cause of cancer-related death and accounts for 17 to 26,000 deaths annually in the United States. And whereas radon is the leading cause of lung cancer among individuals who never smoked and the 2nd leading cause of lung cancer overall. And the final whereas, African Americans have the highest lung cancer incidence and mortality of all races, and disparities in lung cancer screening, diagnosis, treatment, and mortality are well characterized among African Americans and other racial minorities. And now, therefore, I, Donald O., Mayor of the City of Port Orange, Florida, do proclaim the month of November as Lung Cancer Awareness Month in the City of Port Orange and recognize the need for research in lung cancer affecting women and lung cancer health disparities, and encourage all our citizens to learn more about lung cancer and early detection through lung cancer screening. And with the seal of the city and my signature, it is so declared. Wayne, did I have somebody to present this to? No. There you go. Which brings us to the agenda, public comments on the consent agenda. Would anyone here to comment on anything that's on the consent agenda? There being none, may I have a motion for the approval of the agenda for the evening?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of the agenda for the evening. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
4-0. The agenda for the evening is approved. Items 7 through 17 on consent. May I have a motion for approval?
Move to approve items 7 through 17 on consent.
Second.
We have a motion proper second. Call the roll.
Councilmember Foley,
Yes.
Councilmember Bastian,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 4-0. Item D, hurricane update. Wayne, what have you got for us?
Most of it's going to be from Lynn to talk a little bit about debris and then also about what happened with the seawall at Cambridge.
Good evening. Lynn Stevens, Public Works Utilities Director. So I'd like to give you an update just on Ian before we talk about Nicole. So on Ian, we have completed first pass on zones 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7. So all of first pass is completed. They are currently working on 5, 6, and 8. So they're working very hard collecting all the rest of the debris in those zones. To start collection of private roads. They started that late yesterday. They've continued that task today. So they plan to have first pass completed before Thanksgiving, before the Thanksgiving break. They did lose 2 days because of her tropical storm Nicole, but they seem to be back on track. They have 12 trucks out there, the double haulers, as well as the city has 2 vehicles out, and they have a single hauler out. So they're still moving forward, making forward progress, doing a very good job out there. I know that some people have called about certain piles that were not picked up by the debris hauler, usually because they're a mixed pile. If it's mixed with bags, that hauler will not pick it up. Either Waste Pro will pick it up or City Crews will pick it up. As of this time, they had 217,600 cubic yards of material that they've collected. So they are grinding the vegetation on site and starting to haul that out, as well as hauling out the C&D off the DMS. Any questions on Ian?
But I feel that you're going to say something about Nicole and possibly that debris, because was there something that they were going to ask to try to keep it separate?
Yes. So we are asking people to try and keep the new vegetation. We didn't see a whole lot. We've driven the city. Our monitors have driven the city. We didn't see a lot of vegetation added by Tropical Storm Nicole. So we're not as concerned about it, but we are asking our residents to please keep the green debris separated from the brown debris as much as you can. However, it will still get picked up, whether it's by the debris contractor under the FEMA contract with Ian, or whether it's by City Crews or Waste Pro. It will get collected. It just may take a little bit longer for the new green debris from the newest storm.
Gotcha.
If there's just a little, they'll go ahead and pick it up. But if it's a lot, then
Yeah.
they need to keep it separated. Okay? All right. So, Tropical Storm Nicole came upon us. We did lose 2 days of debris collection. We did have a problem with the Cambridge pump station. The Cambridge pump station, let me get this moved over for us. As
That
you
is
know,
definitely
has-
a before picture.
Yes. The Cambridge pump station has a couple different lakes, as well as the 3 pumps that you can see located here on the map. The pumps take and they move the water from this portion of the Cambridge station and pump it over into this aisleway, which then allows it to flow out into Rose Bay. One of the problems that we experienced with Tropical Storm Nicole is with the storm surge that came in. It came in so heavy, it overtopped the seawall here, and it washed out this entire green area on the southern side of the seawall, which caused the seawall to collapse, and it caused the entire collection basin to fill with water from Rose Bay. Luckily, we did not have any additional homes that flooded during that event, as far as we're aware. We did have some water in the streets. It was a king tide, it was a tropical storm, but we did not have a significant amount of rain.
If you scroll down, I did add a bunch of pictures that show the post condition. There's a zoom in of that, and then there's a couple more, but they're just all tied underneath that one image.
So this is a zoom in of the area when it was constructed. So you can see that the pumps take the water from this portion of the lake, they pump it into this area here, and then it flows over and goes into Rose Bay in this direction. About 130 feet of this particular wall from here to here is what has failed, as well as washing away all of this dirt, this earthen berm that held the seawall up.
I think
So
the
all
next
of
two
that,
pictures are the post condition.
so all of that has collapsed. This is the wall as it is today, what's left of it.
Wow.
We did have divers in there. They have confirmed that all of this earthen area here has washed down. Some of it has gotten into the suction of the pumps, has not damaged the pumps. You can actually see this dark area here. This is actually the deepest portion that washed away. So even the concrete floor of this spillway has been undermined and cracked and fallen in. So all of that has been damaged by the storm. You can see a side view here of the station, and I think that's the last view that you have.
Yeah.
So going back to this view, I'd like to show you what the proposed plan is. We've had the divers in there to assess the damage. We have come up with a temporary plan on how we can make this station operational. The area right along here has a lot of coquina rock. It is very shallow. During low tide, you can almost walk across that area. So what we are going to do is install super sacks, which are very large 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot sacks that will be filled with sand and concrete. And we are going to place those with visqueen and make a makeshift dam, if you will, so that we can take this whole area and close it off so that the bay cannot come into the drainage system during a high tide. We are also going to be placing gas-powered pumps on both sides of the station that will be able to lower the level of the lake pre-storm. So we'll still be able to move water. We'll still be able to keep the lake level under control while we are doing the design and final fix to replace this seawall.
You just won't be able to use the 3 main pumps.
That is correct. We tried to find a way to take the sacks and take them from here and take them across here, but this whole concrete floor through here is gone.
Yeah.
Would the gasoline pumps that you're talking about be close to an equivalent GPM, if you will? Or, I mean, will they be able to lower because that's all tied into the Cambridge Canal Basin, right?
That is correct.
So that all, would be able to get enough water out of there to minimize the chances of a flood in that neighborhood?
We have more than a few pumps. We'll pull them from utilities as well as drainage. We'll move them all to this location, and we will pump as many as we need to. They also have floats, so we'll be able to run them on floats. We'll run a couple of them off a float system. The rest of them will be manually started and stopped.
And the water would still go into the bay. We're just basically, you got to make the repairs, so the 3 pumps will be out of service temporarily, and we'll move that water another way until it's fully repaired.
That's correct.
Okay.
That lake you saw in the picture,
Yeah.
that's actually normally 2 small retention ponds.
Yeah.
Just to give you an impact of why that water went rushing the wrong way up the canal. Why it scared the heck out of me last week and
Lynn, on the
100 other residents.
on the permanent fix, when we get to that part, will we have to increase the height of the area that washed out, or I guess what I'm getting at is, I get how it occurred now. The storm surge comes in, it overflows the top of it and washes it out from the backside back to the front. So how do you prevent that?
So one of the problems is the actual elevation of the ground around it. So you can't really take it higher than what's already there. The water will just go right around the wall and create more erosion. So we can't take it above the current berm level of the sidewalls of the collection system.
So then we could fix it and it can happen again.
I'm sorry?
We could fix this and it can happen again.
We need to get an engineer to study, because you can still build the same height wall, and like this was a concrete base with a fairly thick vinyl type thick plastic. you could use different material and anchor it deeper so that it doesn't fall over. This one was built where the earth was what was holding it up. So there's different ways to construct it so that it could be overtopped and still be structurally sound. We just need to get an engineer in to evaluate. We'll come back with recommendations. There may be 2 or 3 choices where we come to council and say, this one may be $500,000 more than the other one. Is this the direction you want to go? But we'll need to come back with an evaluation and let you know. I mean, obviously you've seen the flaw of what happens if it's held up by earth.
Sure.
But we'll bring you options on what to.
This question's probably a little early, and maybe, is there any, I know that was built with some grants and a lot of funding from the feds. Is there any way we can get some help to to harden it and rebuild it?
I wonder if FEMA would help pay for
Bill
this.
FEMA for this.
Huh?
FEMA.
I was gonna say, would this
Okay.
be something FEMA would
We'll,
help
we'll
with?
try every source, including state, federal funding.
That's a John McKinney question that I think's already been
Because,
asked.
I mean,
He's
remember
working on
back in the day, they were given money to buy properties, and we built this basin and spent a couple $1 million and several million tying that all together. And it's been effective for a number of years,
so.
but clearly, the seawalls that were on the beach were effective for a number of years, and this storm changed everything.
I know this is early too, but do we know how long it's gonna take to get an engineer out there to even start looking?
So we've already had those internal discussions. We have some engineers under contract already that are capable of doing this design.
Do we know how long it'll take to replace it with a hardened solution, a long-term solution, or is
Depends on
that?
the option we choose.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll just depend on which option we choose and how we go about doing that.
Okay, I know residents are gonna be asking that question.
Absolutely.
What's a range, like from a quick option to a more extensive option? Any idea, anything from?
So the short-term option is going to start Thursday.
Okay.
We're starting that construction on Thursday. They're going to work through the weekend. They're hoping to have it either completed or close to completion by Thanksgiving. So the short-term fix is going to be pretty quick. I've already met them out on site numerous times, and we've got that game plan. They've secured materials, so we are moving forward with that. So that short-term fix is going to be pretty quick.
Awesome.
And the long term, I mean, some of that depends on what level we want to pay, because you can expedite a construction project. That'll be part of the options is it a year-long construction process? Is it a 6-month process? We can work that through as part of it. I understand the concern of having it completed before the next hurricane season.
That's exactly where my brain's going. Is
June
that?
1st
Yeah. Well,
is a pretty key date. It's the start of next hurricane season, but I think we also need to know and see how well the temporary fix performs in the meantime, and how much time it might buy us if we need more. That's the question we're going to have. Is not just what kind of solution we want. The better solution might take more time. So those are things we're all going to have to weigh.
yeah.
What else you got for us?
I think that is it, unless you have some more questions.
That's it for now until the next hurricane grilling at the next meeting.
Well, I'll have a replacement because I'll be on vacation.
Vacation.
Yes.
Have you done something to earn that these
I
last
don't know.
6-7 weeks?
I'm really looking forward to a little time off.
You've earned it.
Thank you.
Thank
Probably
you,
gonna
Lynn.
go somewhere with snow, right?
Would anyone,
No more tropics.
would anyone here to care to speak to the hurricane topic? There being none, brings us to public participation on the agenda. Wow, it's almost Christmas time already. Cops for Christmas is item 18.
Where's Gene?
Officer Wayne Jean.
Santa's favorite elf.
I hope so.
Gave away a car last year.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
That was amazing.
The family was having a rough time, and we were able to surprise them with something that they didn't even know was coming. And I reached out to a good friend, Crash Towing, and he was able to go out and find a one-owner car, and we were able to present them with a nice car full of Christmas gifts. So great time, and actually Crash Towing, he donated the car. So
Outstanding.
yeah, it was great. Today you know, we're getting ready for Costa Christmas. We've got a lot of wish lists coming in from several children. Costa Christmas, as everybody knows, and the ones that do not know, started in 2020, and we started providing gifts in our community with for children in need, and obviously there's much more children in need this year. We've suffered 2 hurricanes, and a lot of people have lost a lot of stuff. This year we are taking donations at the Port Orange Police Department from November the 16th to December the 21st. Any unwrapped new toy, monetary donations can also be mainly dropped off if they are made by check. We ask that you write them to Spouses Back in the Blue, and in the memo line write Cops for Christmas. At this time, all monies that come in to Spouses Back in the Blue will go straight to Cops for Christmas. We have a setup for a great shopping day. Walmart 1590 Dunlawton has once again generously invited us to come shopping with them again. They, the past 2 years, have donated generously. Each year has been over $3,000. And we greatly appreciate that. This year we have great people working with this organization. Spouses Back in the Blue, we have President Jenny Brazier. We have Vice President Andrea Benazet, and my lovely wife, Brandy, and she is the treasurer, and then Officer Cardo's wife, Crystal, who is the timekeeper. What we are asking for is anybody that wants to support this great cause, give out the gifts to help us provide the families in need, the children in need. You know, if you want to make a donation, no donation's too small. It's really not. There's a lot of kids in need. It's been a rough year, and I think that with the support of the Victims Advocate Office and the support of Chief Marino, who was really supportive of this project and your paper fill.
I tried.
So the way it works is we collect the items, we wrap the items, the toys, and we have the parents come pick up. If they don't pick up, then we deliver the toys to them. So also, Texas Roadhouse. We're doing a night of share on December the 19th with Texas Roadhouse. And all monies collected at that time, 10% of everyone's bill will be donated to the Cops for Christmas Fund.
It is amazing how much my family can eat on a night like that. I think we did this last year, and they went to town.
You know, I'm off, so I'm gonna have that bone-in ribeye this time.
Gene, you said December, December 19th?
December 19th.
Texas Roadhouse, what time?
Texas Roadhouse, 3:30 to 9:30, I believe, is the share program time. It's a great contribution that Texas Roadhouse is allowing us to do this. Not only Texas Roadhouse is allowing them to do this, they have also have a collection box at their facility to collect unwrapped toys to help us. Not only is Texas Roadhouse helping us, and I want to give a thanks out to all the companies that have stepped up already and stepped out and want to help us. Alberto's Pizza, Palmer's Chiropractic Clinic, Planet Smoothie, Ritter's, Natural Health Care, Health and Wellness Chiropractic, Dr. Alicia Fleming, Walmart, Tropical Smoothie, Giuseppe's Steel City Pizza, Port Orange Presbyterian Church, Thrive Church, Crane Lakes Community, Christmas Club, and again Texas Roadhouse. Not only are all these organizations, all these companies helping us, they are also putting out boxes where you can drop off new toys unwrapped, and we will be delivering those boxes. to their location. Do you have any questions?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So just make it clear on the Texas Roadhouse, do they have to mention the event, or is it automatic? It's just everything happening?
So with Texas Roadhouse, yes, you have to either bring a flyer. The flyer is already posted on the Port Orange Police Department
Okay.
website, and it's also posted on the Spouses Back in the Blue Facebook page, and it will be posted on the Spouses Back in the Blue website here soon.
Will you have anybody there handing out the flyers too? Like
We're not allowed to. I learned that
Oh,
the first
okay.
time we did it. I got in a little trouble. Not too
Okay.
much, just a
All
little.
right.
You have to bring either a paper form or you can show the actual flyer
screenshot or something
on their phone. Yes.
Okay.
Sir. Not only that, if you can't make it to the Port Orange Police Department, you can mail checks to Spouses Back in the Blue at P.O. Box 12. What is it? 12. I have to look that up again.
Should we ask the boss?
Ask the boss. 291245, Port Orange, Florida. 32129. And also on the website of Spouses Back in the Blue, there is a lovely box where you can click and hit donate and donate your contribution through the PayPal.
So you don't have to come get a check from me on the 30th?
No, sir, you have to bring the check to me. Oh, I'm sorry, to her, yes.
I'll see you on the 30th, Brandy.
So, it's a great thing. It's I spoke last time about knowing what heartaches and hard times are like in my life. And this is really important to me. This is really important to the Port Orange Police Department and Spouses Back in the Blue. We know that people are struggling and we want to help. We want to give back to the community that we serve. Not only that, Chief Marino will be at the Port Orange Walmart this Saturday from 2 to 5, a meet and greet, and standing there next to a box where you can drop off unwrapped toys also. And like I said, it's a very important thing to give back to the community, and this is something that's really heartfelt and that we enjoy to do.
Well, this is how we keep the chief out of Home Depot. We send him to Walmart instead.
Yes.
I ran into him at Home Depot the other day.
Oh, I love Home Depot. There's nothing wrong with Home Depot. You have any other questions or anything?
I'm sure that we can help promote it, and absolutely wishing you the best. I want to be able to see some of it going on. Let me know when the day
So
is.
yes, I'm going to send you out an invite. You're invited to come help us wrap. You're invited to come help us shop.
You do not want me to help wrap toys.
I do now. And you are also invited to come and hand out these gifts to the families. Okay,
That's
we
the
will be
goal
handing
right
out
there.
the gifts December the 10th. So you are welcome to come, and you're welcome to come wrap on December the 3rd.
Awesome.
Thanks for everything that you and your family and all the families at the police department do. It's really a calling to serve, and you guys go above and beyond. And it's not easy to stand up there and ask. And
No, it's not.
cops don't like to do that, and we just don't. And so it's not easy. But I'm proud of you, and I appreciate everything you and everybody that's involved does. The one thing I just want to say is that there's a lot of great organizations that step up during this time of the year. But one of the unique things about this particular drive and process is that we have seen over the years that our police officers see things firsthand in real time. And with this, they have the ability to react very, very quickly and take care of very specific needs. In the past, I don't think it was last year, I think it might have been the year before, some of the officers came across an incident or whatever, and there were kids in the house that didn't even have beds. And I think you
Yes,
guys
I
got
remember
beds.
that.
We got beds for them. We got
Yep.
bedding. We bought them. The whole house was empty. That was a domestic situation.
Yeah.
And
So
it was
one of the reasons why I mentioned that specifically is I know that you guys, as we're leading all the way up to Christmas Day, when you guys, and I know you, unfortunately, we know you're going to come across them. But when you guys see those and there's that special need, that unique thing that's not going to be a Tonka truck or blocks or whatever, you guys have been awesome about getting that out on social media so that the community can help respond to that. So I encourage people to really watch the social media pages that will be involved in this, and we'll certainly help to put that word out there. And then when the officers see those very unique things, this community has been incredible to step up, and they will again. So again, just appreciate everything you guys do,
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
look forward to another great successful event with you guys.
It'll be amazing. Last year was 300 children.
It's awesome,
That was a
man.
lot of children.
awesome.
You know, and it was great.
And it's so great to like Scott's saying to see it's not in your job description, right? This is so above and so beyond and great for the community, you know, and I just love watching y'all work. Obviously, we've done a little bit together in the past and things, and, you know, be rooting for you. We'll see what we can do on our end, but just thank you for going above and beyond to you and everyone involved in spouses
It's a
back in the
giant
room.
team. It's a good,
Amen to that.
excellent team.
Amen to that. Anything else, council? Go
You're very
Bill.
convincing,
Yes.
and I appreciate what you're doing. And I'm going to donate right now. Come up here and get.
All right.
You'll take this, right? Because I don't have a check. So
Don't
give that
take
to
the
the
cash.
boss.
Good, take
Let-
it.
yeah.
go straight to the boss.
Yes.
Drew, I
Okay.
noticed you give them cash. You made sure it was on camera when you did it, so.
It's just, hey, I want to help out, and I know one of the events I can't come to, but I wanted to help.
Thank you. I believe Z Goalkeeping Academy was unable to make it tonight. Council, do we want to have that discussion anyway? Or do we want to, Z?
They're not
Goalkeep-
here, but
Didn't we?
Is
Susan?
Susan's not here tonight?
Susan?
Okay.
I mean, we kind of discussed, we weren't really,
My only thing would be, Wayne, is that if they do want to come back and they want to make a presentation, one of the things I'm going to be leaning heavily and wanting to hear from our Parks and Rec director is, for the last few years specifically, we've tried to stay as consistent as possible, because there was many years ago, some of the asks just were,
Yeah.
they just really got out of control, and it was
That's
just,
why we came up with that matrix.
yeah, and
Yep.
so to try to promote fairness and have a process that we could all live with, you know, we've kind of put those rules, so to speak, in play, and so that will be the one thing, is if they want to come back, they're very welcome to come back, and we already know they're a great organization, but I want to make sure that Susan can speak to what have we been doing? Have we stayed the course, been consistent? Is it working out? Those kinds of things, you know, so.
We have stayed the course, so she did assure me that we haven't had people come ask, so this would be
Right.
the first one if you granted it.
Right.
Okay. Public participation. Tracy, did we have any?
No, sir.
Okay. Council comments? Scott, why don't we start with you?
Just a kind of a follow-up comment to what Lynn was talking about earlier. You know, whenever you have natural disasters and events like this, you can plan. I know Bobby Ball's here tonight. He can attest to that. You know, you can have the best engineers in the world. You can design everything, and all the variables just won't get crossed off and checked on the box. I mean, that's just how Mother Nature works. We've seen a lot of incredible destruction and things that in my lifetime here in Volusia County I never thought I would see, and it's very disheartening. But I do want to say that the response from the agencies and the city and the staff and the employees, you just couldn't be any prouder. You'd love to have 10,000 more. You'd love to be able to get everybody's debris picked up overnight. You'd love to be a lot of those things. But we see it from a different perspective when we realize there's 70,000 residents and 26,000 properties and so forth and so on, and the speed at which a lot of this has occurred is very good, actually. Even though I know everybody won't agree with that, I get that. That's fine. But it's been pretty good to see. And I will say for for that Cambridge project, there was a lot of money spent. I seem to recall it was about $14 million.
I was gonna say, I know it was over 10.
It was a multi-million
Yeah,
dollar project.
It was a
definitely.
ton.
Yeah, it was at least seven figures.
And the one, you know, as soon as Wayne called me, said that the wall had collapsed, like my heart literally was sinking into my stomach, because I knew what that meant, right? But I want to say this, even with that collapse, the other measures that were taken, and the additional retention areas, you know, keeping the drainage stuff clean and all that stuff, yeah, we got water in the streets. I'll take water in the streets every day if we don't have water in homes. So, you know, there was a small victory there in the face of something that was catastrophic. And you know what our job to do is when those things happen, just like they're happening all over the state of Florida, we'll respond to them, and we will get there as quick as possible, and we'll do everything we can to minimize the damage and minimize risk moving forward, and try to make it better than the last time. And I don't think those things will ever change. You know, there will always be the need to try to shore up infrastructure. I was having a conversation with a resident. It was actually a really good conversation, and you just can't raise the state of Florida. It's just not happening, right? And so there's always going to be the lowest lying areas. There's always going to be that risk of coastal flooding. There's going to be that storm surge, with the storms coming different directions and bringing different variables with it. So we've always got to stay on our feet. And next year, one of the things I really hope we do early is I want to vocalize the importance of preparation ahead of time. You still see so many people who are living in Florida who wait until that storm is literally up on top of us to have preparations and plans, even if their own, even if it's just, trimming their own trees and mitigating vegetation overgrowth around their homes and things like that. And I want to try to do better earlier in promoting that and trying to raise awareness and asking communities to do that. The other thing I'd like the city manager to take a look at, and maybe probably involve the city attorney as well. We have some communities that have very large HOAs, and a lot of those communities have large open areas or open space, for lack of a better word, common areas. And what I would like to see is in the future, ahead of those storms, if we can have some agreements, perhaps, where after the storm, if the HOAs will agree to it, they can designate areas within their communities to say, hey, if you don't want to let that debris sit out in front of your house, take it up to the front of the neighborhood. We're going to mark off an area with some cones and just drop it there, and the city will get it all there. I think we could, and I know that that's tricky because with the FEMA requirements and all that kind of stuff, is that even allowable? I don't know. But I think it will help to mitigate a lot of the really small piles spread out all over the community and give people things right within their own neighborhood to go do that. I know where I live out in Water's Edge, we've got quite a few areas where we could do that very easily and very successfully. But we don't have a lot of the historic, the 50 and 100-year oak trees out there and things like that bring large amounts of debris. But just something to be thinking about. We can, talk about that more in a few months as we debrief on that. But I think there's some things that we can do maybe to help in that process that we need to look at. So that's all I got tonight.
Okay. Drew?
The only thing I got, and like she addressed part of it, I've gotten a lot of phone calls and several emails about when will my neighborhood be picked up. Well, I can't predict that. It's not really something we can control. I know they're hitting the hardest areas first, and I just tell people you got to be patient. We're looking at, I'm telling them perhaps a 16-week process to get the city picked up. I mean, we're not even halfway through it, but be patient. The city's committed to picking it up, and it's going to happen. It might not happen quick enough, but we're out there every day. They're working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, and they will be there eventually to get your debris and your construction stuff and all your things that's going to happen. A couple of the areas were gated communities with private roads, and I directed them to city attorney's office because the one didn't even know, oh yeah, we got to sign that right to entry or whatever. So just be patient. They're coming. They're coming. You haven't gotten forgotten.
Right?
Yeah. I actually don't have a lot. I will say I want to say thank you to all the staff's been working. It was bad enough to have one hurricane, but to have another storm come through, I know that's been a lot on all of our employees, and I know they've been working hard. I know they went through a lot with Ian. Thank God Nicole did not affect us in the same way, but I know a lot of them pulled a lot of extra hours and had to do some different things. Just want to make sure they know they're appreciated when they have to step up and they do things like that. So any of our employees here at the city who had to work those extra hours running the EOC, I know Joe was working overnights and Chief and Wayne was over there, and just everybody. It's not an everyday 9 to 5 job all the time. Sometimes you got to really step up, and we have a city full of people who do that, and I just want to make sure they know they're appreciated.
It is interesting. No two hurricanes are alike, as we've seen, those of us that have been through several of them. It could be size, speed, distance it's coming from, any number of variables, the amount of rain it does or doesn't have. But we get lucky in a lot of ways, except in our coastal areas. We didn't lose a lot of power. So I just thought it was interesting to see Wednesday morning everybody shutting down early by Thursday afternoon, many of our businesses were open and operating, ready to serve the people of Port Orange. And when you go up, when you went up and down Dunlawton on the avenue and Nova Road, many of our restaurants were packed by Thursday night. Nobody wanted to eat at home. They were cooped up for a day and a half, which wasn't quite as long as they were for Ian, but it's just like everybody wanted to get out. And I just wanted to thank our business community, because it is very vital to the quality of the city that we have these services, that we really can rely on it. It almost is part of the problem, because the business community bounces back so quickly to serve as many people as they can, as quickly as they can. And I say part of the problem is that sometimes people don't take these storms as seriously as they should, and don't prepare the way they should, because they know they live in a very resilient community. So it's a mixed bag. But I tell you what, it was very nice to see a very active and vibrant community out and about Thursday night in the restaurants, and knowing that the business community and all the people who work in those places, and they had to get to take care of their own situations and get back to work to serve the public. So I thought that was a very interesting observation, and I wanted to share that as well. And one other thing I wanted to share, as you can see on the dais, there's 4 elected officials up here instead of 5. We said goodbye to Chase Tremont last time. So next meeting, in first Tuesday in December, the seat that Reed is sitting in, he'll move back over again. We're going to be welcoming Kat Atwood to the dais. So at 7 p.m., I believe that's Tuesday the 3rd, we will be swearing her in, and we will be back to a full 5 on that night. So congratulations to Kat Atwood, and I'm looking forward to serving with you. Special reports. I understand the comprehensive plan update presentation is up next, that the original PowerPoint has been reduced from the 75 slides, well past the 30 slide limit that we've established. So let's see how you did.
Yes, sir. Hold
Make us
on.
smarter.
All right. Good evening, Penelope Cruz, Planning. Let's get to go here. All right. So as you know, we are in the process of updating our comprehensive plan for the next planning horizon, which would go out to 2045. This is a requirement in Florida statutes. Every 10 years or so, there's actually a set schedule. At the time we were originally scheduled to update it, it just kind of fell in a bad time. We're always on a really bad part of the schedule for the state, where we're kind of at the tail end of the data for the census and before the new census data. And so if we would have done it then, we would have been creating a 20-year plan based on very old data. So we got the ability to do it later on. So that's why we're doing it right now. It's a little bit more than 10 years. So tonight we just want to give you a real brief update on where we're at in that process and just kind of get some input from you. So as you know from being up here several times throughout the years, the comprehensive plan is broken out into 11 chapters, different elements of the plan that cover a variety of different things. At this point in the process, staff as well as our consultants with Kinley Horn have gone through the entire comprehensive plan. We've analyzed all the goals, objectives, and policies that are in there for basic relevance with the current context of the city, what we see for the future, consistency with new state laws that have been passed since the last update, and basically doing some initial data analysis to make sure that our plan is set up with the future needs through the next planning horizon. Based on the analysis that we've done to date, we do not anticipate making very drastic changes to the plan that we have right now, but we do want to set up the framework for the plan in order to address the shift that we're going to be going through during this planning horizon from greenfield development to more redevelopment as we get closer and closer to build out. So part of that initial analysis is looking at our population projections through that planning horizon. And you can see kind of towards the end there is where we're kind of reaching towards that anticipated build out. From this analysis, as well as looking at the vacant land that's available and what that vacant land can support as far as theoretical max of and realistic maximum development. It lies pretty consistent. So these numbers are based on a historical trend of over 20 years of the city's population being approximately 11.2% of the county's population. And we've been pretty consistent at that percentage over the past 20 years. So we felt pretty confident to kind of carry that forward into the future. And so the Florida's Bureau of Economic Business Research, BEBR, that provides those population estimates every year, they do county level projections out into the future through 2045. And so that was kind of our base, and we carried that 11.2% and to see where we're going to be at with the city population. Then we compared it with what vacant land we have, what the land use and zoning is on that vacant land, and what the realistic development that we know of and what it can support. And it pretty much matches up with that same percentage. So we think anywhere between this 75,000 number to about 77,000 is probably where we're going to be for build out. So that's just kind of some background for that, and that's kind of the big chunk of that data that we then take through the entire analysis as far as making sure that we're going to have sufficient infrastructure to get through this planning horizon. And so we take all that data and analysis, and we look at our existing level of service that we have and see if we need to make any changes to all the various infrastructure that's addressed in the comprehensive plan. We don't anticipate at this point, from what we've seen with the data, to make significant changes to our adopted level of service standards, aside from a few minor changes in the recreation and open space element that I'll cover in a few minutes. So with our future land use element, as you know, we've got a map adopted in the comprehensive plan. That's the future land use. It's what a lot of the development that you see going on right now was, that land use was on the future land use map 20 years ago. It's just we're seeing it now come out of the ground. And then we've got our existing land use that we look at and how that matches up with that future land use map. And then we look at the analysis of the vacant land that we have left. We don't anticipate a lot of changes to the future land use map. Really, a lot of the majority of the vacant land that we have left, where we're going to see the majority of future growth, is up here in the northwest, in that what's left in the planned community west side, and then down in the southwest here in the remainder of Woodhaven. Those are the two largest vacant areas. There are a few other smaller vacant areas scattered throughout the city. Some of them that are on this map right now already are under review for development, but they're at this time vacant. So this is kind of a breakdown of our talking about future land use, what we actually have on the ground right now, broken down by parcels and by acres. So if you look at it by acres, about 66% of the city is residential, about 18% of the city is non-residential, and then we have about 16% that's still left vacant. So again, we are not anticipating making significant changes to the general land use pattern of the city. The city has developed a pretty consistent pattern of developing commercial at nodes of major intersections, having office and multifamily as kind of transitional uses from there, with single family after that. We don't anticipate changing that general pattern. That's Port Orange, right? What we are looking at and exploring as we continue the data analysis is what's left out here in the planned community west side area. Originally, when that area was established as far as the regulatory framework for that area in 2000, 2002, in that time frame, this area out here was set up to be a mixed-use town center. Kind of like what we're looking at Riverwalk, and kind of something that you would see more central in a city. We are exploring and with our consultants, as well as with the property owners and with the county, as far as some changes we might be able to do out here to kind of shift that focus from a town center to more of an employment workplace district center. So that's probably the main area where you may see, as we move forward in this process, some proposed changes to land use. So with that, the initial recommendations for the future land use element are what we talked about just now in the Planned Community West Side, as well as adding a new category called residential estate of future land use, which would be a 1 unit per acre, just to set ourselves up for potential annexation from the county in some of those local plan areas where you have to keep it at that same zoning of 1 unit per acre that they have out there. Adding some policies to support future grant applications and consolidating and reorganizing the plan. Did you guys have any questions about future land use before we move on? No? Okay.
Not necessarily a specific question, Penny. It's just that, you know, one of the things we hear a tremendous amount from our residents, and I think we all collectively agree with, is anything and everything we can do on future development to reduce the environmental impacts, to increase drainage, to decrease density. All those kinds of things are things that I'm very much interested in, and I want to see, you know, where we can improve upon those areas. You know, and the mayor has a saying sometimes, just because somebody says it doesn't mean they're wrong, right? And we, in a lot of respects, we, you know, as we see impacts around our cities, you know, just because it was something that, like you mentioned, 20 years ago, seemed like it might have been a good idea, seemed like it might have been reasonable, what have you, it just hasn't turned out to be that, right? And of course, you can't go back and recreate something from 20 years ago, but moving forward, I think, you know, those are the consistent things that I hear and I see that we need to be attentive to, and be able to say, hey, we made this decision to change because we believe it provides less environmental impacts. It increases, you know, stormwater drainage. It helps with our flood mitigation vision. You know, it's all these different kinds of things. So, and on top of maintaining quality of life and all that stuff. So, and I also get that, as I say that, I get that things are changing, and I understand that people change, and that, you know, what someone my age thinks is how something should be. I get that there are other generations older than me and younger than me that see it completely different, and so I'm, you know, I'm aware of that. I'm not deaf to that at all, and I know, like, for example, you know, a lot of the younger generations, they don't want to own homes. They want to live in apartments. They want to live in higher density communities where everything is walkable. They literally, and you see that a lot of places where that walkability, they work from home, they live in home, they literally can walk 5 blocks in any direction to every single thing they need in life. They don't need cars and things like that. I don't know that our community is ever going to be set up for anything like that at all.
Pockets maybe,
but
yeah.
it just, my point being, my point being is that, you know, we're talking about things for generations out to 2045, and those folks are in elementary school, right? But they're going to be adult residents of our community, and then some, and we need to be thinking about, you know, how
I
this
think one of
impacts
the
everything for them.
big patterns too, that we talked about this when I came back, so having worked with the planners for a while before, is that area, you were talking about what level of infrastructure do we have available to serve, whether it's stormwater
Right.
infrastructure or what. The west side area, that's, you go out Town Park and all that area north, the 2020 plan, or the 2000 plan for it, I mean, it was thousands of homes more density than what has actually built.
Yes.
It's at about half the density of what was envisioned a long time ago. So we planned infrastructure 20 years ago to deal with way more density out there than we're seeing. And then as she was talking about the shifting thought of it being more of a place to work where there's more jobs based, so you're taking more like the US Foods and the Radon and those kind of things out there, as opposed to what was originally planned as a retail center where you would go shop at Barnes and Noble. You know, as that world has changed, that's changed. So that will change the impact too and make it less. And then that's also the area where we're looking at the expansion of Karasi Park. So you pull that out and that becomes a rec area. It does draw people in, but it's not an area now where you see lots of houses. So
Yeah, it'll be significantly less dense than what was originally planned out there.
So it's already, there's always been a tremendous difference in what we were looking at in the past.
I know that impact, from an impact standpoint, we pretty much designed where we're going with the west side of town. How we reinvent ourselves will be our next challenge. What we do with the River District, the opportunities that significant investments going to bring down there for people, and continued improvements. in the Ridgewood Avenue corridor. How do we improve infrastructure with the benefits from that to match that? So that will be our next challenge the next 25 years.
Yeah.
We also take a look at our growth. This projected growth, it sounds like a lot. It's 0.8% per year cumulative. It's less than that. And our growth rate in Port Orange the last 10 years census was less than 1% the last 10 years. We've just got a lot of areas around us that are growing faster than us. For the first time ever, there are several cities that are growing faster than us. And usually, up till about 2010, actually before that, because the Great Recession in 07 put the brakes on for everybody else, we were the leader in growth. It was us, it was Daytona, and it was Ormond. There were some followers, but we have really slowed things down. And I think 1% incremental growth per year is respectable, because even if there are no people who are going to want to find the sunshine in Florida and move down here, and we know there will always be organic growth. Those that live amongst us, I have 2 boys that I would love to see raise families here in Port Orange. I don't know that they will, but we have organic growth. So there will always be growth, whether people move down from the north or not. So we, what we do to reinvent ourselves, that's the vision we need to take a look at for the next 20 to 25 years. That's our challenge.
Yeah. Tracy, if I can get the PowerPoint back on. Can we get the PowerPoint?
Flip back.
Flip back. Oh, okay.
There you
There it is. All right, so the next chapter in the comprehensive plan is regarding transportation and mobility. It addresses all different modes. We're not really looking at a lot of significant changes there. We've got a pretty thorough plan for build out and what needs to happen as far as improvements in that case. We're not looking to really change the adopted level of service out there. The majority of the changes right now that we're looking at is focused on cleanup, reorganizing, consolidating, making it an easier to use chapter, changing terminology to be consistent with regulatory agencies, things like that.
We're still on track on that slide, that last little bullet. We're still on track for the Port Orange International Airport project.
Yeah, so with that, I know that's why we put required by Florida statutes, because I knew you guys would be like, what? What do I?
2045?
So we are because we
Florida
are clipped by the radius of the zone that we need to plan for aviation. We we are required by state law, even though we have a little tiny part of our city that's in that radius, we have to put certain policies in our comprehensive plan that deals with that. So you'll see that. So
The flying wants to annex in, we'll talk.
So our initial recommendations, like we said, are really just consolidating, reorganizing this chapter, addressing some multimodal policies there, adding policies that can help us support future grants for safer roads and pedestrian design, and the required policies for the aviation side of things. So now moving on to the housing, as you know, Port Orange is primarily 70% single family, including detached, attached, and then the rest is made up 15% multifamily, the rest mobile home. So we've just, the housing element is really just making sure we do all that required data and analysis that's required by state law, and trying to clean up that element, again, make it a little bit more user-friendly. One item we are looking at to address in the comp plan this go-around is accessory dwelling units. Really, it's something that's come up a lot from our residents. We get calls about this pretty frequently. And it's really for Port Orange's sake, we're really looking at it as a way to create flexibility and housing choice. The way we'd like to go about this is to set up the framework to allow accessory dwelling units in the comprehensive plan, and then we can make a decision as a council, make a decision as to when we want to implement that down the road in the land development code. But at least have our comp plan have that framework to allow that when we so choose to implement it in the land development code down the line.
Not gonna be a lot of those basement ones.
I was just thinking
Yeah, yeah.
the basement option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as part of this review, we have met with the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity to explore what they're looking for with things like this as far as addressing it in terms of density. We have reviewed a variety of policies that other jurisdictions in this area and throughout the state of Florida and nationally have adopted with regards to this. And so, and obviously looked at how it would work in Port Orange. If we do choose to take it one step further from the comp plan framework and put provisions in our land development code, that's where we would tighten it up and specify, lot sizes, coverages, setbacks, design, things that would make us comfortable to actually move forward towards actual implementation in our code. And like I said, a lot of places look at this as an option for affordable housing. It can be, but I think for Port Orange, it's really going to be a situation where it just provides that flexibility, say, for parents to live close to home, extended family, things like that. So that is something that we are looking to explore further this time around. So with that, our initial recommendations for the housing element is a lot of just consolidation, reorganizing to increase the efficiency and user friendliness of that chapter, adding that framework for accessory dwelling units that not to count towards density but provide that flexible housing choice, and that again just is a framework that we can choose to implement later in the future in the land development code, and then some updates to be consistent with Florida statutes. Any questions on the housing element before we move forward?
Do we know what's on the very first slide there with the 65% being single family attached or detached, etc.? Do we know how that's changed since the last time this plan was updated?
It's generally been pretty consistent. I mean, there's a little bit of variation here and there, but we've generally been pretty consistent, except for that the mobile homes gone down a little bit over time.
I was going to say, like, in my head, and if you ask most residents...
I don't remember the exact percentage, but the mobile homes gone down.
I was going to say, it seems like mobile homes have kind of ticked down, and that multifamily, if you ask a lot of people, outside this room, they would say, they would think multifamily's tripled. I don't think that's actually the case if we...
It just all got built at the same time the past couple of years.
You got like thousands of homes between Water's Edge and Woodhaven and all the stuff on the west, so there were a lot of single-family homes at the same time.
Yeah, it does. I see what you're saying, or it feels like that. It's just a lot of the multifamily that we did get kind of just all happened at the same time, so it feels like it tripled, but it really didn't. All right, so moving on to the recreation and open space element. This is the element that really just covers all facets of recreation, open space, natural areas, and how we use them in our community. We met early on with the Park and Recs Advisory Board before we even really got started with digging into this with our consultants and just trying to see what they were going to be looking for so we can have that going into it. They really want the element this go around to really function as not only a required element of the comprehensive plan, but also a master plan, a master Parks and Rec plan as well. So that's kind of how we're approaching this. This is the current adopted level of service standards that we have right now. We are not proposing any changes to Parkland or neighborhood center level of service standards. We are proposing some changes to the field and court standards. And these I'll talk about the first change here. The first one is about courts. So right now we only measure 2 courts, tennis courts and basketball courts. So there was a discussion with the advisory board about combining that and having a more general sports court. It actually was a really clean transition. It doesn't change the level of service. It remains the same, but it allows us to analyze more types of courts and include those. We actually pick up 24 other courts in that process. And doing that, we're able to add that and define that. And, it could help us with grants for developing different types of courts as well. So this was something that the staff as well as the advisory board supported. Because again, it doesn't change anything level of service wise, but it allows us to track a wider variety of courts types. The next one was sports fields. Right now we analyze ball fields and then we have multi-purpose fields. Because of the way the existing standard is, it wasn't something that could very neatly be combined, just evenly like the courts. But we looked at a variety of different proposed level of service standards that were kind of in that same pun not intended, ballpark. But what we came down to that everybody could support was the 2,000 to 4,000. It gives us about the same, maybe just a slight increase in level of service for ball fields. And all of these changes to the courts as well as to the ball fields keeps us in line with regional standards, and we're generally right in line with state standards as well. We're a little bit higher on some things, but we're still in a good place there. So those are the two main changes in the recreation and open space element that we're looking at. Also just kind of adding some how we classify and talk about parks as far as neighborhood level, community, district park. So adding some of those classifications into that element, simplifying, like I said, some of those level of service standards so that we can analyze those differently, and then kind of reorganizing the element as a whole to really function more as a master plan, adding some more of that strategic element to it, not just goals, objectives, and policies to help us use that to plan those future improvements. Any questions about this element particularly? This one does have, this is the one element where we are proposing changes to level of service standards, so I'd like to see if you have any feedback on that. No? Good?
Changes to increase.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I think we all kind of know that's something
The need.
that's a definite need. In fact, as you were talking, I can't help but think, that our timeline is going to go really quick towards getting a project ready that we can probably put out to the voters for bond and stuff like that for increased facilities for fields specifically. And then the one thing I will mention, just for sake of discussion point, the pickleball phenomenon. It wasn't that long ago where you could ride around and you just see the tennis courts just completely unused. You never saw anybody playing tennis. And I know tennis has started to come back a little bit, but how those courts now have been almost repurposed and get used tremendous amounts for something new is actually really a kind of a neat thing to see. And it's a lesson in, before you get rid of something, hold on. Because you just might, be careful about getting rid of it because you can't get it back all the time. And that's a good thing that we never
Once
did
again,
that.
how do you reinvent yourself?
Right, yeah. So,
That's what I was just thinking about.
yeah, for sure.
All right,
You
great.
build Pictona like Holly Hill, but they were very proactive with the pickleball.
Well, they can happen.
All right, so the next slide is kind of going to capture the rest of the comprehensive plan because we really aren't proposing a lot of significant changes in the rest of these elements. Public facilities, conservation, coastal zone management, public school facilities, capital improvements elements. These are very strong elements that we've always had really good, strong policies on. We're not looking to deviate from that. Basically, for these elements, we're going to be looking to update anything that's necessary for compliance with changes to Florida statutes since the last update. Revise any outdated policies that we have, consolidate, reorganize, again, trying to make this plan a lot more user-friendly. And then we will be adding policies that can help us get some grants for future capital improvements. So those are the types of changes you're going to see in those kind of more facility-oriented elements there. Any questions about that? Okay. All right, so we're kind of towards the end now. So the next steps are, we are planning a community workshop. We're kind of looking at late spring, maybe early summer for that. And then once we get that underway, we'll be wrapping up the changes that we're looking to make to the comprehensive plan. We'll be bringing that back to Planning Commission and City Council for the official transmittal hearing. We'll then transmit that to the state and regional review agencies, get any feedback we have from them, make any necessary changes, and then bring it back for adoption. So with that, I'm just here to answer any questions you have about that.
Wayne, when we get into our January town hall and state of the city, I think it would be a good idea to promote, even if we don't have an exact date, we can use those to promote that is up and coming.
Glad to hear you say that, Mayor. We were hoping to piggyback on some of your town halls.
You're in.
Perfect.
Nice.
Good. The more participation we can
Yeah.
have, the more questions we can answer.
Mhm.
That's all good stuff. Any questions of staff?
And if you think of anything after this, we're going through this. This is a daily, weekly, just chipping away at it. So if something comes to mind, just email me, call me, let me know, and we'll address that.
We're in concept
Okay.
mode.
Thank you.
Anyone
Thank
here
you.
care to speak to that particular item? Okay. Citizen Advisory Committee for the TPO, Mr. Bobby Ball.
Good evening. Bobby Ball with the CAC for the TPO. We had our monthly meeting, and first want to go back to a subcommittee meeting we had a week or two ago, which was to reevaluate and looking at the scoring sheets for some of the priority project lists that the staff puts together and submits. We took those recommendations and then brought them before us today in the CAC, and then eventually it'll come to the full board. With an emphasis, basically we changed some scoring around to put an emphasis on safety, traffic equity, and sustainability and resiliency. And then in the presentation part, we actually had a presentation today, and one of them was about the I-95 corridor, and they actually talked about the interchange at Pioneer Trail there starting in fiscal year 23. So
Starting construction?
that's what the
Wow,
graphic
that's
said.
pretty, they've moved that up a lot, huh?
I was a
Been
little surprised.
talking about it
Yeah.
for a dozen years. It'd be interesting to see
Yeah.
ground actually be
What's
broken.
interesting though is the line above that said the right-of-way acquisition was fiscal year 23 through 25. So
That was fixing me. My next question was, I was trying to recall, I
So-
think they haven't completed all of the land acquisition.
I think it's
right?
going with it. So I'm not sure if there was a typo or what, but
Yeah.
We shall see.
that's all I've got.
Any
All right.
questions? Any other questions for Mr. Ball?
Good job, sir.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you, Bobby.
Before we get into the public hearing portion of the meeting, why don't we take a 7-minute recess, and we'll be right back. No, let's just go. Set timer for 6 minutes and 56. And we're back. The public hearing portion of the meeting is now open. Item 23, first reading of ordinance number 2022-28. Ordinance number 2022-28 is an ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, approving the Ninth Amendment to the Master Redevelopment Agreement for Crystal Lake Planned Unit Development, PUD, providing for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Move to approve ordinance number 2022-28.
Second.
We have a motion, proper second. The item is open and on the floor for discussion. Who do we have with us, Wayne?
Penelope Cruz Planning. All right, so we are here with our monthly Crystal Lake item.
Well put.
Shit.
So,
Good job.
Pretty much this is this is a Ninth Amendment, and it's pretty much exactly what you guys looked at last month across the street and down a ways around the corner there. These property owners here also want to basically do the same thing. They want to amend the PUD to allow for mini warehouses. Currently, the PUD is set up for this property to allow office office business service, medical office, veterinary clinics, beauty barber shops, health exercise clubs, and general retail. And it has the office warehouse, but they want to add the mini warehouse use onto it. They do have a specific provision in the in this particular amendment that does require it to be internally accessed, looking more like an office architecturally. And so if it's approved, they propose to come back with a site plan for a 3-story climate-controlled self-storage facility. It's been reviewed by the Staff Development Review Committee and has been found to be consistent with the future land use, the Crystal Lake PUD, and adjacent properties. Staff is recommending approval. Any questions?
Council?
Wow, waterfront storage.
It's low impact.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Doesn't
definitely
generate a
low
lot of
impact.
traffic.
I like it when we can have these storage facilities near our high-density residency and not, it creates fewer trips when those people have less distance to go to access it. And it gives them an amenity that they need. Any other comments? Would anyone here care to speak to the item? There being none, back to us. Council, final comments? Call the roll. Call the roll.
Councilmember Foley,
Yes.
Councilmember Bastian,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner,
Yes.
Mayor Burnett.
Yes, 4-0. Excellent job of roll calling by the substitute teacher tonight. Maybe we can tell Robin that she can stay on vacation?
No.
I didn't think so, right? Item 24 is ordinance number 2022-29. Ordinance number 2022-29 is an ordinance of the City of Port Orange, Volusia County, Florida, authorizing and consenting to the assignment of the non-exclusive gas franchise to People's Gas System, Incorporated, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Move to approve ordinance number 2022-29.
I'll second.
We have a motion, proper second. The item is open on the floor for discussion. Wayne, what do you have for us?
Finance Director McKinney put this together for us, but it's relatively straightforward name change. So if you have questions, we'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, again, it's just a change in assignment of the name.
Just for the sake of entertaining the people who are watching the meeting, can we just give a quick recap of 30 seconds of what it is that we're doing so that people know what we're doing?
John, you want me to take that?
Yes.
Okay, I'll take it. So
I
the
just wanted to point out too, we have representatives.
oh, okay, yeah. So this is it's a very old agreement, and in that agreement, dating back to I think it's 1980s, we do allow for assignment. However, that assignment is required to be done by ordinance. It's a really strange provision. That's why you see it as an ordinance as opposed to as a simple consent to assign. So you're going to see it again because ordinances are required to be read twice. But it's just an assignment from. It's funny because I think you guys would say that we've kind of come full circle now. We started as Tico Gas, then we went to a different subsidiary, and it's actually coming back to I think the original name that we contracted with, decades ago now. So
People's Gas.
yeah, it's a real. We've really gone full circle, and this is a new assignment. So.
Council, questions? Would anyone here care to speak to the item? There being none, you want to speak? You want to come talk us out of it?
No, just Spencer with Tico People's Gas. I'd like to encourage your favorable support. Thank you.
Thank you. We need him to train the attorneys who come to speak.
I was gonna say.
Back to us, council.
Man, I was really leaning into it, but after that last comment, no.
There being none, call the roll.
Councilmember Foley?
Yes.
Councilmember Bastian?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stiltner?
Yes.
Mayor Burnett?
Yes, 4-0. The public hearing portion of the meeting is now closed. City Attorney report.
Nothing new tonight.
Excellent report.
Excellent.
City Manager report.
Nothing additional.
Committee reports. Port Orange South Daytona Chamber of Commerce. There is an after hours this week at the, was it the Legacy? Yep. Memorial Funeral Home this Thursday from 5 to 7. It's the after hours. Wayne and I usually meet on the third Friday, but this Friday will be the County Q breakfast. A lot of us will be attending that instead, so we'll be meeting in early December to combine both of those meetings. Council, I also wanted to put on your radar the evening of December 21st. As you all know, Debbie Connors is retiring, and that evening will be a celebration, her retirement party. Don't tell her, but the mayors of Daytona Beach Shores and South Daytona and myself will be preparing proclamations. It'll be a nice day. We're kind of calling it Debbie Day. So put the evening of the December 21st on your calendar, if you would. And I think that
That will be where?
at the Chamber Building.
Do we need tickets?
You do not need tickets. Show up and be happy. There's a lot of service there to celebrate. And then, unless there's anything else on the chamber, I've got a report on the rent. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Drew.
What time did you say?
I'll confirm the time, but
Okay.
I think it's from 5 to 8.
Okay.
The roundtable of elected officials, I was highly disappointed that,
Put that in my phone.
seriously, I was highly disappointed that our roundtable of elected officials meeting was, for Monday, was canceled. There were issues with preparation for it by the county, but frankly, with all of everything that's going on, it is essential that all our city leaders get together and talk about what's going on. So I was glad that the Volusia League of Cities did a mayor's call this morning so that the mayors could at least communicate via Zoom what's going on in each other's communities post Ian. The level of need for services is all over the place, up and down the beach side, and Daytona Beach Shores in particular. From residency to their economy, it's been basically turned upside down, and we all have seen the pictures and the drone shots of what's going on in Wilbur by the Sea. So you'll be hearing more of that from me as we move forward, and hopefully future roundtable of elected officials meetings. Any other business come before us this evening? There being none, we are done for November. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. We do have a lot to be thankful for in this community. Have a good night, everybody.